everyone, and welcome to this online foam rolling class video. Perform exercises at your own risk. The information in this video is not a substitute for the advice of a licensed health professional. If you have any injuries or pre-existing medical conditions, check with your doctor before performing any new exercises. I'm Dr. Michael Valones, sports chiropractor and clinic director here at 6th Avenue Chiropractic and Wellness in Denver, Colorado. In this video, we're going to perform a full-body self-myofascial release routine that you should do every day or every other day that yield some amazing health benefits if you do them regularly and consistently. So let's get started. So for this routine, we're going to start at the bottom of our feet and work our way all the way up our body and end up at our neck. So to get started with the bottom of our feet, we're actually going to start not with our foam roller, but a ball about this size. And this is a mobility or trigger point ball. There are plenty made for this sort of thing. This is even like a small foot roller. You can use a lacrosse ball or a baseball. Some people even use a golf ball, which is a little bit harder and smaller. But just something to work into the bottom of your foot. A tennis ball might be a little too soft and have a little bit too much give, but you can give it a try and work your way up to something a little bit more solid. So to get started, we are going to work the bottom of our foot. And our foot has three arches, our inner arch, which you're most familiar with, the outer arch, and the arch across the balls of all the toes. So it creates this triangle here, and that's really where we're going to work, going from in front of our heel, all the way up our inner arch, and all the way up this triangle. I'm going to each ball of the foot and across. So start with the ball on the ground, and you're just going to take your foot and step right on it. And I'm actually going to start in the back, just in front of my heel, and I'm going to start to apply some firm downward pressure using my body weight and slowly rolling forward to each ball of the foot there. Now I don't want to go really fast and slow like this. You can if you want, but if you really want to get some good release through the soft tissue and all those small muscles, you really want to get some good, firm, deep pressure and go slow, looking for those really tight and tender spots. And we're going to start with about 8 passes back and forth through that triangle underneath our foot, really paying attention to which areas are feeling good and which might be feeling not so good and where those tight, tender spots might be, because we're going to go back and treat those spots in a moment. Firm, deep pressure, working the inside of that arch, working the outside of that arch, and working the arch across the toes. Now we're going to revisit that really tender spot right in the middle of the arch, and we're going to apply some firm downward pressure. Now we're not going to roll the ball underneath our foot, but now we're going to flex and point our toes up and down. Sort of, you can see my hand sort of just up and down like that. And what that's doing is that's shortening and lengthening all the tissue at the bottom of the foot, the plantar fascia, the small muscles under there. And that's helping to break up any tight knots, fibrosis, or adhesions that could have developed there and release the myofascia. Good. And once you're done there, we're going to switch and do the other foot. So same thing. I'm going to start just in front of my heel and apply some downward force and slowly work towards the balls of the foot. I'm going to go back and forth and side to side here, slow and with intention, really just trying to loosen up that tough, hard tissue. Five, 6, 7, and 8. Good. And now I'm going to revisit that one really tight, tender spot. For me, that's almost right in the center, a little bit closer to my inner arch. So I'm going to get the pressure right there. I'm going to apply that downward force. And then with my foot, I'm going to flex my toes up and curl my toes down and up and down. Just like that. Good. Really trying to feel that soft tissue release. Good. Great, okay, so now we're going to move to the back of our lower legs, and that's our calves right here. So to do that, I'm just going to lay this foam roller down on the floor. I'm going to sit about a foot and a half in front of it. And then first I'm just going to get both my calves on the foam roller. And you want to go at your own pace. Everyone's different. Everyone's going to have a different strength in their upper body and different mobility. So if you get to this point and all you do is keep your butt on the floor and roll your calves back and forth on the foam roller, you know, that's totally fine, and that might be where you start. If you are pretty good and strong enough through your shoulders and wrists and elbows, and you want to pick up your hips up off the ground, that'll get a little bit more pressure through the calves on the foam roller, and you can roll up and down. But if you are unable to lift your hips up off the ground because your wrist is bothering you or you're having any shoulder issues, then you can keep your butt on the ground and cross one leg over the other. And this might help you get, I'm going to cross my right leg over my left leg, and I'm going to push down with my right leg on my left leg to get more pressure on the foam roller, working the back of my left calf here. And if I have the ability to, I'm going to lift up my hips up off the ground, and I'm really going to work all the way from down just behind my ankle, through my Achilles, and then all the way up through the calf, just below the knee. And I want to turn onto the outside and get the outside muscle belly of the calves, and I'm going to turn onto the inside and get the inside muscle belly of the calves. And then same thing, just like the arch, go back and revisit that really tender spot in your calf. Get as much pressure on it as you can, and you're not going to roll the foam roller. But here, if you can see my left ankle and foot, now I'm going to gas pedal my foot all the way up, and all the way down, all the way up, all the way down, and you should feel that muscle moving underneath that foam roller. And this is, again, lengthening and contracting that muscle to help move the tissue under pressure to get a better release of that myofascia. It's also great at improving blood circulation. Good. And now we're going to switch to the other leg. So again, if you can't lift your hips up off the ground, cross your left leg over your right leg and just push down with your left leg onto your right leg, getting more pressure on the back of your right calf on the foam roller. If you have the ability to, let's lift our hips up here and roll all the way from underneath or just behind our ankle over the Achilles tendon and all the way to just below the knee. Really working into those tight and tender spots and try to remember where those big knots are. Good, still working the right calf here. Now I'm rolling a little bit onto the outside to get that tight muscle in the calf on the outside belly. Good. And then I'm going to find that really tight knot in your calf on that right leg. And now I'm just going to point and pull my toes, flexing and extending my ankle here. And again, I should feel that calf moving underneath the foam roller. Good, okay. So we just got the bottom of our feet and we climbed up to the back of our calves. Now we're going to get our tibialis anterior, the front of our shin here, and a little bit onto the side of our muscle, or the side of our lower leg here, okay? So What you're going to do is right over your foam roller in tabletop position. So I've got my palms and knees on the floor. We're going to do our left leg first. So I'm going to take my left shin and place it right on that foam roller. And this way I have a lot of control with both these hands and my right leg. But I can focus a lot of my body weight right onto the foam roller, right onto the front of my shin and a little bit to the outside, getting the peroneal muscles and the tibialis anterior muscles. If you ever had shin splints, this is that muscle here. It's often neglected, so a good muscle to work through regularly as it helps control your foot and ankle. You see a lot of runners and hikers and trail runners really wear these out because they are doing a lot of work to stabilize our ankle and foot, especially on those uneven surfaces. Good. Maybe you lean a little bit more onto the outside of that shin. And again, once you get to that really tender spot, which for me is about a third of the way down to the ankle from my knee, and now I'm going to point my ankle and flex my ankle, point and flex. Really feeling that muscle move underneath the weight of the foam roller, the weight of my body on the foam roller. Good. Okay. So now we're going to reset. If you have to shake out your shoulders and arms, go ahead. We're going to move on to the right shin. So down in tabletop position, right shin on the foam roller, and we're just going to roll all the way from our ankle to just below the knee. And you might roll a little bit more on the outside and find that on the outside of that shin, it's really tender through those peroneal muscles. Really getting your body weight behind it. Good. And then right here, I'm going to stop on that really tender spot. And I'm not going to roll, I'm just going to apply firm pressure, and then I'm going to point my ankle and foot so I can again stretch and contract that muscle and get it to move underneath the pressure of the foam roller to release all the adhesions through there and get better blood flow. Good. Awesome. So we did the bottom of the feet, we did the back of the lower legs, we did the front and side of the lower legs. Now we're going to move on to our quads, which is just the front of our thighs, okay? So to do that, I'm going to lay right on this foam roller, right on my quads, almost in this plank position with my elbows on the ground. And starting here, you might just want to roll all the way here. You don't want to roll over your kneecaps, but just above your kneecaps, and all the way to your hip pointers up here. And this might be it for you. You might just choose to stay here. You might want to try rolling your legs side to side on the foam roller. Get some cross friction in between the tissue. You might feel the lumps of your muscle roll over the foam roller. You just work through there. The quads are big, strong muscles, so take your time and sort of look for those tender spots. And you might want to focus on this for a few minutes, or you might want to advance it a little bit further where you can essentially take one leg. I'll take my left leg and lift it up. So now I'm focusing all my body weight onto my right quad. So I can isolate it a little bit more and get a little bit more pressure. Again, it is a big, thick, strong muscle, so it could be tender if it's really tight and hasn't had a lot of attention lately. And that's a good way to know. Typically, healthy tissue does not hurt when you press on it, so as you're doing this foam rolling routine, you might want to focus longer on the tender areas. And you'll find after doing this routine and focusing on those tender areas that in a few weeks, those tender areas may not be as tender when you do this foam rolling on them. Let's switch so we can isolate the left quad. So doing this foam rolling routine is a great way to self-assess your body on where your tight areas are. And as you're doing this on your own, you want to focus on the areas that are really tight and tender, and maybe less time and attention on the areas that are soft and don't really that don't really feel too tight. Okay, so just finishing up with my left quad here. Just want to make sure I don't miss any spots, so I'm rolling a little bit on the outside and a little bit on the inside. Good, and remember we're just working the front of our quads here. Now we're going to go on to work the inside of our thighs, the adductors, and then we're going to do the outside of our thighs, and then we'll go and do the hamstrings and then move on to the glutes. Okay, so to the inside of our thighs. Essentially what you're doing here is you can get on the ground, on your stomach, elbows, forearms on the floor, and then it's almost like you can get into this little plank position, but take the foam roller and place it right next to your hip, right in the center, and then take your left knee, if it's by your left hip, and take that left knee all the way up and out like a frog leg. Now you want to keep your chest and hips square facing the ground, so you don't want to rotate onto your side like this. And an easy way to do this is just keep both your elbows and forearms on the floor, so you're more in that plank position with a frog leg sticking out. And you're going to roll all the way from the inside of your knee, just above the bone. You don't really want to roll on the knee, but just where those muscles attach to the inside of your knee there, you're going to work that all the way up into your groin, where those muscles attach at your hip. And you might find that it's really sore and tender at the attachments up by your pelvis, or you might find that it's a lot tighter and tender, a bit spicy, closer to the knee. So keep working through there. Really give it some intention. Really try to loosen up the soft tissue in those muscles there, and go deep, go slow, let that tissue release. Remember to breathe. Good. And then we're going to switch and do the other leg. So I'll turn so you can get maybe a different perspective if you didn't quite get that on the first one. So I'm going to lay on the floor here, almost in this plank position, right? And I'm going to take the middle of the foam roller, place it next to my right hip, and then I'm going to bring my right knee up, like that. Good. Again, both my elbows are on the ground to keep my chest square with the ground and the floor. And I'm going to roll all the way from just on the inside of my knee, not quite on the bone, but just on the inside, all the way into my groin where that muscle attaches to the pelvis. Good. Again, really trying to get the pressure onto those tight, sensitive knots in there. And move around. The body is very much not black and white, or things go from here to there. Muscles are crossing and going from every which way to every other which way. So get creative and look for those tight muscles and really work them out. So I've got a really spicy spot right here. I'm going to go a little bit slower, put a little bit more pressure, and wait for that to release. A few more seconds. Good. Okay. Awesome. So as far as the thighs go, we've done the front, we've done the insides. Now we're going to move on to the outsides, our IT band and TFL muscle. For runners, this is a common injury, or hiking, it's a common injury because these outer muscles here, just like in the lower leg, they're big stabilizers of the body. So the IT band is a big stabilizer of the hip and knee. So to do that, we're going to start right in the middle of your quad. You're just going to lay right on your side, elbow down. We're working the right side, so my right elbow's down. I'm right on the foam roller onto the side of my right thigh. I'm going to cross over my left leg flat on the ground. That's going to give me some stability here. My right leg is essentially just floating up in the air here because of the pressure I'm applying on the foam roller like a fulcrum. And I'm going to work this all the way from just above my knee on the outside all the way to my hip pointer where my belt line sort of sits. Good, and for a lot of you, because this is such a overused muscle, because it stabilizes us every day, even when we're just walking, it might be tight if you don't stretch it or work on it enough. So really focus in there and just work through it and try to get that muscle to release. And remember how things feel, because if you are doing this regularly, again, you'll notice things aren't as tight and tender after a couple of weeks. And that's a sign that you're really seeing improvement. Okay. Good, and once we're all done there, we'll switch and do the other side. So I'll stay facing this way, hold my head this way, and you can sort of see back what I'm doing here. So again, I'm going to work on the left side this time. Left side of the quad right on the foam roller, my left elbow's down, my right foot planted on the ground to give me some good stability. Maybe my left hand's on the ground also to help stabilize my body. And I'm going to work from just above the knee, slowly trying to get as much of my body weight through that leg on the foam roller and work this all the way up to my hip pointer. And definitely into, almost like where your pants pocket area sits. You want to work in that area. Good. Again, for a lot of you, this might be pretty tender, but it's a good sign that it's something you definitely want to work on and loosen up. Okay. Good. So we've done the front of our thighs, the inside of our thighs, the outside of our thighs. Now we're going to work on our hamstrings. So the hamstrings are another big, thick, powerful muscle. And here, you're just going to sit. You can roll off your glute and get right onto your hamstrings. And just roll. And if this is as much as you're capable of with both legs, then this is all you do. If you're capable of it, and we want to isolate our left hamstring a little bit more, then let's take our right ankle and cross it over our left quad and left knee here. And this will help focus more of our body weight just onto our left hamstring, and we're going to roll up and down from just above the back of the knee all the way to our sit bone on our left side. And maybe we roll onto the outside of that hamstring and work up and down firmly and slowly. Maybe we roll onto the inside. But we want to be comprehensive in what we're doing so we don't miss any parts of the muscle, which can be tough, but the more you do this, you really begin to learn your body and where you need to work. Good. And right in the center there, that's where I'm feeling things. So again, just like some of the other long muscles, you can hold the deep pressure where you feel the knot. Maybe you extend your knee and let your knee flex a little bit. Again, just moving that muscle, stretching it to help release some of the adhesions through there. Okay, good. We're going to come down. If you were holding yourself up with your upper body, shake out your wrists, shake out your arms and shoulders. It definitely is a bit of a core workout and a shoulder workout too, so added benefits. And we're going to isolate the right hamstring. So take your left ankle, cross it over your right knee, and we're going to work up and down that right hamstring all the way from just above the back of the knee all the way to your sit bone, and we're going to roll on the outside part of that muscle. We're going to roll on the inside part of that muscle. Looking for those tight and tender spots in there, and really focusing on just breaking it up. Good, and then if you have a really tight spot you want to work on, let's hold the foam roller right there. Let's try to focus more of our body weight on that spot. And then I'm going to extend my knee and stretch the hamstring and let it relax. And I might cycle through this about 5 times total. You can do more if you want. You can do less if you want. Good, okay, so I'm going to sit my butt back down, shake out my wrists and arms and shoulders. So we've done the bottom of our feet, we've done the back of our lower legs, we've done the front of our lower legs inside. We've done the front of our thighs, the inside and the outside of our thighs, and we adjusted the hamstrings. Now we're going to move on to the glutes. So we got the glutes, and we got the piriformis muscles in there. So to get started, let's just sit right on the foam roller, okay? And to roll the glute, you might want to sit upright like this. You might want to put your hands back like this in a sort of like this crab walk position. But keep pressure on the foam roller working through the glute. And to roll the midline fibers of the glute, you're going to be rolling. It's only about an 8-inch span to work through that glute through there. And they're just getting the inside. And then, why don't we work and focus a little bit more on the right glute. So from sitting on the foam roller, I'm going to take my right hand, place it on the floor behind me, and then that'll allow me to sort of roll onto my left glute. So I'll extend my right leg goes forward, my left leg is bent, and this will allow me to really roll into that right glute. And don't forget to go all the way up to almost like your belt line where your glute meets your low back. And on the side, you want to get your glute medius, which is another big stabilizer of your core and hips. Really work into there, looking for those tight and tender spots. Get those nasty little things out of there. Good. And then while we're here, if you have the ability to, and this is already pretty tough, you may not be able to, and just keep working through here, but if you want to try to get into your piriformis muscle, which is really small muscle deep under the glute and works with the rotation of the hip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my right ankle and put it over my left knee, and you should start to feel a little bit of a stretch through your right hip. Try to get the foam roller into an area that's being stretched. So by crossing the leg up here, we start to stretch the piriformis, and the tension from the stretch along with the pressure from the foam roller does a really good job at breaking up that muscle and getting it to move and be more flexible. Good. Okay. So, good. We're going to do the left side. I'll turn just so you can see. You're sitting here. Take your left hand, reach down behind you, extend your left leg, lean onto your left glute, and roll all the way up and down. Good. Going all the way to where your glute meets your low back, almost at your waistline up there. Good. And then if you want to work into that piriformis muscle again, you did on the other side, take your left ankle, cross it over your right knee, feel that stretch in your left hip, and then try to get pressure in there with the foam roller. Good. Awesome. That is spicy. That feels good. Okay. So we just did the glutes and the piriformis and the hips. So now we're going to move on to the back. So go ahead and have a seat right in front of your foam roller. And start with your mid-back here. Don't start too low or up too high. Just try to get your foam roller right at your mid-back. Plant your feet on the floor. You can cross your arms over your shoulder, over your chest. You can bring your fingers behind your ears and maybe support your head up a little bit if your neck gets really tired being in this position. And first we're just going to roll all the way up and down. All the way up and down. Just trying to loosen up and warm up your back. Maybe you bring your arms up towards the ceiling. If you round your shoulders forward, then you can separate your shoulder blades and get the muscles in between your shoulder blades and scapula. Then maybe you roll on to your left side to get more of the muscles just to the left of your spine and back. Roll all the way up. And just be careful not to roll too low. You don't really want to get your low back in this position. I'm just going to reset here because the foam roller can shift. And then I'm going to roll a little bit onto my right side and roll all the way from my shoulder down to my mid-back, getting all the muscles just to the right of my spine. Okay? And this is just to work those muscles. And the next exercise we're going to do here is to help us get some extension back into our upper back. So a lot of the times we spend many hours a day driving, at a computer, reading on our phones, and we tend to hunch and get this big forward flexion in our upper back. So you want to bring that back, open up our chest. So this exercise, same thing. I'm going to sit, feet flat on the floor. I'm going to start with this just in the middle. I don't want to be in my low back, just in the middle of my back. And here I'm going to bring my fingertips just behind my ears. And it's a stepwise process, okay, that we're going to repeat a few times going up each vertebra of our back. So the steps are, with your butt on the ground, lean back until you get to your end range. You don't have to push any further. Just get to your comfortable end range here. Open up your elbows back to the floor. You should start to feel a stretch to your chest. And then just take a big deep breath in to expand the lungs, fill them up with air. And slowly release. Good, and then I'm going to scoot the foam roller about a half inch up my back. And I'm going to repeat, feet flat on the floor, butt on the ground. Lean back over the foam roller, open up your elbows, feel a stretch to your chest. Take a big deep breath in as you lean back. Good. And we're going to repeat this a few times. I'm just going to scoot down a little bit so the foam roller goes another inch up my spine. I'm going to lean back, elbows out, deep breath in. Good. And we do that a few more times here. Good. Okay. So you do a pretty good job. Why don't you roll it out here? Maybe sit up tall, rotate to your left, rotate to your right. Good. Now we're going to start to work a little bit of the shoulders. So why don't we work our left shoulder first? And what we're going to do is, it's almost like you're laying on your side with your left arm up and this foam roller right in the crevice of your armpit, working through your lat. And here you can just start to get your weight and just roll up and down across the muscles that span your armpit, really. Good, and move your arm around, look around for those tight muscles, maybe get more into the back of your shoulder. This is really good. Another thing you can do here is with the foam roller right in your armpit, get your elbow to touch the ground and create a 90-degree angle in your elbow. And then you're just going to rotate at your elbow being the pivot point. So you're going to rotate your shoulder into internal rotation and external rotation. Internal rotation, external rotation, which is backwards. Internal rotation, bring that hand forward. External rotation, bring that hand back. All while keeping pressure with the foam roller on those muscles underneath your armpit and the back of your shoulder maybe. Good. Okay, then while we're here, we can just get right onto that left tricep. And you're just going to roll. It's a little bit awkward, but just do what you can with your body to get some pressure on the back of your tricep there. This one should feel pretty good. Okay. And when we're all done there, we can work into our right shoulder. So, same thing, I'm going to be laying on my right side. I'm going to stick this foam roller right underneath my right armpit. Extend my right arm up or outward, and I'm just going to roll. Good. Maybe I roll onto the back more of my shoulder. It's a big junction point for some powerful muscles, so you might feel some tenderness there. And then we can work the rotation by bringing our elbow down to the ground, making a 90-degree bend in our elbow, and bringing our hand forward to rotate our shoulder forward, and then back to rotate the shoulder back. Pivoting just at the tip of the elbow. Good. Then we can move on and get our right tricep. Again, it's awkward, but just do whatever you can to get some good pressure through the back of your upper arm there. Again, this one should feel pretty good. Tender if it's really tight, but it's a good hurt. Okay? So here, we got mostly the back of the shoulder and then the armpit and around the cap. Now, we're going to work right into this part of our pec, right where our pec major, pec minor come up and attach to the arm. So we're going to lay on the foam roller with our arm out like this just to work right into this area here. So I'm going to take my foam roller, I'm going to place it down, I'm going to lay down on my stomach, and I'm going to bring my arm out and lay it right over this foam roller. And I'm going to try to focus my body weight on the front of that chest and shoulder area, looking for those tight spots. Good. And maybe if I find a good spot, I'm just going to hold the pressure there, and I'm just going to bring my arm around like I'm making like an upside down snow angel. Okay. So let's switch into our other arm, and I'll face you this way so you can see this. Lay the foam roller down. I'm going to come down. I'm going to lay right over this, just like that. Good. Then I'm going to bring my arm, swing it up and down. Again, moving the fibers underneath the pressure of the foam roller. Good. And that will conclude the right part of the chest. Now we're just going to move on to our forearms here, okay? So we're almost done. I'm going to take the back of my forearms and just lean on the foam roller And I'm really just going to roll up and down. You can do both. If you want, you can focus on one arm and push with your other arm down just to work into the back. And it seems like everyone has a lot of tenderness or this knot right here in the forearm, right? A tender spot. So on each side, really try to work into there. If you do a lot of mousing or you work on a computer a lot all day, these are those muscles that control your fingertips. So all those little typing, this is the area that tends to get that repetitive strain injury. For tennis players, this is where they get tennis elbow. It's tendinitis of these muscles and tendons here. Good. And then the opposite side, okay? So these are our flexors, they curl the forearms in. You can do that straight. And with this one, you can roll them both. If you do them how I'm doing, almost like this child's pose position, you can also stretch out your lats. So I always like things that have a double purpose. Kill two birds with one stone. So here I'm rolling the front of my forearm, my palms are facing downward, and I'm rolling from just below my elbow to my wrists, all while reaching forward and getting good stretch through my lats and my shoulders. Okay? Good. And lastly, we're just going to do the back of the neck here. This one should feel good. If it's too uncomfortable, if you have a foam roller that's too hard or has too many knobs or some sharper areas, you may want to not do that one with this. I'm only use something that's pretty safe to put into the muscles in the back of your head and neck here. So this is a high density foam, 18-inch by 6-inch diameter foam roller. It's pretty safe. I recommend all people get one of these because they can be used for all foam rolling levels, and they tend to be pretty sturdy. The softer ones, like this blue one here, it's softer, but doesn't have as much integrity and tends to flatten out sooner. So to get the neck, you're just going to lay almost like the foam roller is a little bit of a pillow, and just at the base of your skull, where it turns into soft tissue, that can be a point of tension headaches for a lot of people. It can be really tender to touch if those muscles are sore and tight. So you want to go very easy with this one. Test it out a little bit first if it's your first time. But you can just lay here, and you want to get the foam roller not on the hard part of the base of your skull, but just below that, more onto the softer area, just below the skull line and where the muscles meet your top of your neck. And then here you're just going to relax and turn your head slowly side to side. So turn your head all the way to the left and to the right. And left and right. This is a good way to give yourself a soft massage. There are other ways of doing this, but for the sake of using a foam roller consistent with this routine, other than working with the bottom of our feet in the beginning, this is a great way to just continue on with this practice. Okay. So that one feels pretty good. Again, if it's not comfortable, if you're having any issues with that, or if you think it's a little too tender, check with your health professional and be evaluated before doing anything new like that. So drink plenty of water. As essentially this is a self-administered deep tissue massage. You are pushing a lot of blood flow and a lot of debris, cellular debris and toxins out of the cells. So you want to drink a lot of water to help your body flush that out. So that's it. Hope you enjoy that and that you're able to keep that going at least every day or every other day.